Hey, hello again, and so we were able to build this bokeh chart, which is a candlestick chart, and we were able to get data from the Pandas Data Reader library. And so the final product is an HTML file. Now, if this output is enough for you, you can skip the next lectures, but if you want your plot to be seen by a wider audience, so you'd have to actually host the URL of your plot in a live website. So, and you also want to embed this plot in a web page. So you may want to have other elements and a website header with menus and so on, and then below you have the plot. So if you want to do that, then you need to follow the next lectures of this section. Because here what we will be doing is we will embed this chart in the website that we built with Flask some sections ago in this course. And in the section where we build this website with Flask, you were able to deploy the website online, so we have this URL. And so in this section we will be embedding the plot that you see here in this web page. So let me close this and let's do that. Now, before we go ahead and write the code, I'd like to talk about the concept behind embedding bokeh charts in Flask. So if you go to the view page source, or even better if you go to inspect element, so here you see the source code as you do with page source, but this is more organized. So what we got here is the body, and now this HTML code here is responsible for rendering the chart area. And then you have the JavaScript code, which is this one here, and this holds the data that are being rendered in the chart. So you have HTML and JavaScript. And you also have two other things here. The first one is the CSS, which actually is being hosted in this website. And you also have the script, the JavaScript, which basically constructs all the elements of the chart. So these are inside the head tag, but this is what we're interested about. And this is a particular JavaScript code for bokeh. So what we need to embed a bokeh plot in Flask is we need this JavaScript code that you see here, and we need the code for the division, so this one here, and also these two links of the CSS and the JavaScript files. So 4 things. So you need to find a way to grab those 4 files out of your chart and then send them to the Flask web app. So for instance, this is the source code of the web app that built that Flask website, and here are the virtual environment files. So this has to do with Python, and you know what virtual env is. So you learn how to create virtual environment in the section where we build the Flask website. But this is what contains the scripts of the website. So now let's see how we can grab those 4 elements that I mentioned earlier. The first thing you need to know is you'll not need these 2 lines anymore. These 2 are only to output a file locally, so CSS, HTML, and that is saved in the local directory in your computer, and then you show that with the show method. So you don't need to do this anymore. So let me comment those so they are not executed. And then what you need instead is you need a function called components, and that function is part of the embed interface of bokeh. So bokeh.embed import components. Now, to generate the HTML and the script of your bokeh chart, you do something like, you need to call the components function, and then here you need to pass your figure object, which is P. So in P we have stored the figure of our chart. So if I execute that now, you'll see that we got some source code being generated, which is actually a tuple. So it start with a round bracket in here, and then it has the source code for the JavaScript, and then you have a comma here. So the first element ends here, and then the next element is the HTML code, this one here. So this is a tuple. So it's a tuple and it has a length of 2. That means you can now make use of this and say script1, the first variable, and division1, let's call them like that, equals to components of the P figure. Now if you execute that, then you go to the next line and print script1. What you get is a JavaScript only, and then if you print out the div1 variable, you get the HTML. So that's great, but what does that mean? Well, that means you can send, I've made a typo here, this shouldn't be there. Let me execute that again, and you get the same output anyway. So you have these two source codes now, which actually, if you try out the type, so this is a string and this is also a string. So these two strings now, you have to send them to your HTML templates. So for instance here, you can either put them in between the head tags, and there's a special syntax where you embed those script1 and div1 variables inside your templates, HTML templates. So we'll do that in just a bit. Now these were the two elements, but we also have two other elements which were the ones in here. So it's the link to the CSS style sheet and the link to the JavaScript file. So you can either copy these and paste them here in your HTML template, so you'll have them here as static strings, or a better way to do this would be to actually generate this dynamically with Bokeh. The reason you want to generate them dynamically is that you can see that this is Bokeh version 0.11. Now if you leave these links in your web app and later you upgrade Bokeh to a newer version, then you might get some problems because these links also need to be updated. That's why you should generate those two links in your Bokeh script, so that if you upgrade Bokeh, these links also will be updated. To do that, first of all you need to import from bokeh.resources import CDN. So CDN stands for Content Delivery Network, and then what you want to do here is you want to create two variables. Let's say CDN JavaScript, and that would be equal to cdn.js files, and then again CDN, let's say CSS for the CSS file, cdn.css files. So let me execute that, and so CDN, let's see what we got. JS. It actually is not CND, CDN, sorry, JS. So as you can see, this is a list of 3 links. Now the first one is the link that we are looking for. This other one is about Bokeh widgets, if you want to add widgets in your Bokeh chart. So that's quite an advanced functionality of Bokeh. and you also have the JavaScript for the Bokeh compiler. But all you need, so focus on this one only. So to get that, what we'll be doing is just JavaScript 0, so we get the first item of that list and we get the string of this URL. Similarly, you have CDN for CSS, which is also a list, and it has the CSS for the general bokeh and for widgets. So this is what we need in this case too. And yeah, that's it. So we have 4 elements that I was talking about: the script for our particular bokeh chart, and the HTML for our bokeh chart, which happens to be a division, and then we have the CDN JavaScript and CDN CSS. So with these 4 elements, we are now ready to go to our Flask files. And that's fairly easy. You just need to add a few things in your Flask Python file and the HTML templates, and you should be able to have your plot embedded in your web pages. So let's do that in the next lecture then.